Hello, and welcome to a special video. Today, we shall drive a farewell rail tour, celebrating the service life of the Intercity 125 HT. GWR have just retired the last of theirs, so today we shall be driving a GWR Castle Class HST. Built between 1976 and 1982, the Intercity 125 sets were built by British Rail Engineering Limited at Crewe Works for the power cars and Derby Works for the Mark III coaches. BR initially developed the HST as an interim measure in the early 1970s, as delays and cost concerns began to threaten their primary high-speed train project, the Advanced Passenger Train. The HSTs are now widely considered to be among the most successful trains to have operated on the British railway network, both in terms of their initial impact and their longevity. Their introduction into service between 1976 and 1982 resulted in significantly reduced journey times and large increases in patronage on the routes on which they were operated. The trains proved to be a reliable workhorse, remaining in frontline service for decades. The first withdrawals began in 2017, 41 years after they were introduced. Now, the only ones in regular passenger service are with ScotRail. The HST was formed of a rake of Mark III passenger coaches between two streamlined power cars, one at each end. Each power car was fitted with a Paxman Valenta diesel engine, which could produce 2,250 horsepower. This engine was chosen due to its light weight and subsequent high power-to-weight ratio. The decision to use two power cars was taken early in the project, as design engineers calculated that the train would need 4,500 horsepower, 3,400 kilowatts, to sustain 125 miles per hour on the routes for which it was designed: the Great Western Main Line, East Coast Main Line, Midland Main Line, and the cross-country route. And it was established that no off-the-shelf diesel engine was capable of producing such power. British Rail had used a similar idea of a train with integral power cars at each end a decade earlier, with their blue Pullman sets. Although these trains were not ultimately commercially successful, they established the validity of the idea and are often seen as forerunners of the HSTs. The concept had several advantages. Firstly, a power car at each end allowed the train to be driven from either end in push-pull formation with the power cars linked by electronic control systems, and therefore reverse direction without the need for a locomotive to be run around at terminus stations. Secondly, the train could run with only one power car operational, though at reduced speed, therefore allowing a journey to continue in the event of a breakdown. And thirdly, it avoided the underfloor diesel engines found in diesel multiple units, therefore avoiding noise and vibration for passengers. Another factor was that two locomotives operating in push-pull formation would cause less wear on the rails than a single locomotive. One of the design requirements for the HST was that it should exert no more force on the track at 125 miles per hour than a Class 55 Deltic locomotive at 100 miles per hour. And each power car of the HST weighed a modest 70 tons, which allowed it to meet this requirement. There we go, doors now open. By now, I'm sure many of you shall be saying, why are you making a farewell video over a train? Why have you postponed Breakpoint for this? You don't seem to understand. This train is one that slashed journey times and revolutionized train travel. It is an achievement that it has lasted 49 years. The HST isn't your standard train. It's the adventurous type, the go everywhere, do everything type. And thus, that's why it lasted so long. Prototype Intercity 125, power cars 43000 and 43001 set the world speed record for diesel traction at 143.2 miles an hour on 12th June 1973. A second world record for the fastest diesel-powered train, a speed of 148 miles an hour, was set by an HST on the 1st of November 1987 between Darlington and York, with a test run for a new type of bogie for use on Mark IV coaches on the same route. The record run was powered by 43102 at the front and 43159 at the rear. An HST also holds the world speed record for a diesel train carrying passengers. On 27 September 1985, a special press run for the launch of a new Tees Tyne Pullman service from Newcastle to London King's Cross formed of a shortened 2+5 set, briefly touched 144 miles an hour north of York. It is also worth noting that in 1988, on the Great Western Main Line, a HST reached 148 miles an hour, beating the world speed record that 43000 and 43001 had set. The final train has left, and our farewell video concludes. Thanks for watching. I do hope to see you next time, and maybe check out Breakpoint whilst you're here. If you do enjoy my content, consider liking and subscribing, as I am a small content creator.